Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Business Over Breakfast with a new look. My name is stupid.
I saw that. I was like, okay, we're just gonna go there. All right.
I'm so sorry. I was teaching a friend how to produce on StreamYard last night, and she was messing around.
Oh, that's so funny.
I'm so glad that I can change it.
Oh, Ben, I thought that was for me.
No. I'm so glad it didn't say Baby Shark, which it did at one point last night.
Oh, that's great.
Welcome to Business Over Breakfast. It's a little rainy outside right now, so I'm inside.
Is it really?
It is in Westerly, at least.
Wow.
A little damp out. How are you this week, Lori?
I am really good this week. I've been working on these presentations that I am doing on Canva, which is, I'm finding way more fun than PowerPoint.
Yes.
So I'm having a lot of fun with that, but it's taking a lot of time. So I had a weekend of kind of trying to get outside and working on presentations.
Well, that's awesome. And you had a big week last week, obviously, with the debut of the first video for Thrive for Shop Local Rhode Island.
Yeah.
You did the Lieutenant Governor's show, obviously, last week, and you guys released that. So how was the response to that video? Because it was amazing.
Oh, thank you. The video response has been great. The number of views has been great. We're still really trying to push it out so we can spread the word around business and what businesses are experiencing. And so today I'm super excited to have a guest to talk a little bit about the real estate industry. So we know that some industries in Rhode Island have been severely impacted. Well, I shouldn't say just Rhode Island, but many industries all over the world. But the hospitality industry is severely impacted. We see so many have been impacted, but it's interesting as I watch businesses move forward that some businesses are really growing and other businesses are being severely impacted. So today I'm curious and excited to hear about the real estate market and what's happening in residential real estate. And I know that one of our marketing director moved in April in the midst of the pandemic. You moved as well. I am about to move in October. And so it's, it's kind of like that. I say scare-sighted, it's like scary, but exciting. People want to move forward in their lives. So, I'm really happy. How is your new house, by the way?
I love it. I mean, I really love it. It's, it's more well-designed for like a family than the lab. We had a really cool house, but it was from like 1916, and it had giant rooms, but like not enough rooms to do stuff in.
Yeah.
And this one, everything's like sized really well, and the layout is nice, and it's in a really quiet neighborhood. So I love the new house, and I'm excited to talk to Stephen Miller because I'm excited to learn more about real estate and all of that stuff, and what they've been doing right now. So do you want to give a little formal introduction, and then we'll bring
Steve Miller, Stephen Miller, Coldwell banker, is what I think one of the best residential realtors that I have ever worked with and met. And for me, the biggest thing was really being able to operate a business, a real estate business, about things that are very, very emotional in a very business-like way. So I think that he takes his clients, and this has been my experience, and kind of walks them through exactly what they need to do, and he handles the business of it, and you are the client. So the roles and responsibilities are exactly where they need to be. And that's how I like to run my business. I say, we do your marketing, you do your business. So if you're an expert in something, that is what you should attend to. So I would love to bring Steve on so that he can give us a little bit of his background around. Hey, Steve, good morning.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Steve. Nice to meet you.
Nice to
Thank
meet
you.
you too, Ben. Hey,
Thank
Lori.
you so much. Hi, thanks for joining us. I wanted to hold back a little bit on your intro because I really wanted to introduce you as the person that kind of handles the business in the way that I think personally and professionally it can be handled really well. So I thank you for joining us. And I am going to give you the floor to just kind of give us, I know you worked in New York City, you've done a wide range of residential real estate work. So please.
Sure. No, thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here and just share some of my thoughts and have a nice conversation with you both. So, yeah, I mean, I can give you a little bit of background just myself. I moved up here to Rhode Island. I'm not a native. I came here in end of 2006. We lived in New York City for about 10 years. Prior to that, I was in Boston, and then I was born and raised in the Midwest. In Minnesota, I went to school at University of Wisconsin, so I'm Midwestern at heart. But I have kind of a nice sense of understanding that relocation is not easy. I deal with a lot of clients that are from overseas or from everywhere, from the West Coast or from South or everywhere. And I think when you're relocating to another part of the country that you're not familiar with, it's good to have some knowledge or to understand, that local knowledge or that local depth and breadth that you need, which is really important. So when we moved up here, actually, I wanted to understand what everything was in the market from like 300,000 to 3 million, for example. Even though the median sales price in Rhode Island is about now it's up to 10% higher than it was last year.
Wow.
That's kind of the crazy thing with COVID. It's really changed everything with the market, and I can go into a little bit about that as well. So
yeah, I'd love to hear it. I was thinking, Ben, when you were talking about your new home, you brought up the exact things that I was thinking most people are looking for. So Steve, so clients will come to you and say, I need these particular spaces. I have a family, or I don't have a family, or like what are the common things that clients bring to you when they're thinking about their next stop?
Yeah, I mean, I think right now where we're at with COVID and what's been changing the last 6 months is that either people are saying, I can't live in the space that I have. It's too claustrophobic. It's too small. We are now going to be working remote. My kids are at home now working from remote school-wise. So we need a different space. That's one factor of it. The other factor is that, now that we're have a new job or we had a baby, we definitely are looking at, we want to have acreage, or we want a different neighborhood that has a school system. So these are all the different things that I kind of look at with each client. And I love my job. I'm passionate about it because it's like a puzzle. That's why I got in this business. I mean, there's similarities and commonalities that you're going to be dealing with your clients in terms of the process and how to get from, finding a house to the closing. But every client's different and has the nuances of what they need. What are the absolute must-haves? What are the 3 things that I absolutely have to have? Do you really need a 2-car garage, or can you deal with a 1-car? Do you need a finished basement, or can it be partly finished? Do you need the 2 acres? Do you need a fenced-in yard? Do you have a dog? Do you have all these different things? So I really spend that time up front honing in on what is important to the client, and then going.
Yeah, that's great. So if just as a quick aside, can you tell us your office and where you're located and how people can reach out to you?
Yep. So it's Stephen Miller Group. We've got kind of a collaborative team that I work with now, and so my home office is really East Greenwich. We also have an office on the east side of Providence, and then I'm here in Edgewood. I live in Cranston, so you can reach me on my website. It's stephenmillergroup.com. Also, my cell phone's 401-477-9316. But yeah, we actually, our new office on the east side is great. That's now growing. There's about 17 agents that are in that office as well. It's
Oh,
right off
wow.
of Wayland Square, so it's a great location. So, and I've been with Coldwell Banker now since I started in real estate, which was 2009. Same office, same broker, Pat Lenahan. She's amazing.
Mhm.
She really takes care of us agents, and that's why I've stayed with Coldwell Banker from day one.
That's great. Is she
Yeah.
also an Edgewood resident?
Pat?
Yeah.
No, she's in East Greenwich.
Oh,
So
okay. Oh,
yeah,
for some reason I thought that she was in Edgewood.
yeah.
Oh, cool. So I want a yard, and that's what I came to you with.
Yes.
I have an
Wow.
amazing space. Yeah, and since COVID and the self-isolation and the lockdown, I didn't expect that I would feel this way, but this idea of like I am counting the days until I can get into that yard and rake. And
Yeah.
I mean, really, I am dying for that. I want to just go over there and do it now. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, I guess not, and not everybody feels that way. So that was like priority number one.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit. So you said the market in Rhode Island is up 10%, and we see it fast and furious. I mean, from my lay person view, it seems kind of fast and furious. So can you give us a little background about what's happened in the last 6 months?
Yeah. I mean, to give you context with the last 6 months with COVID, you have to kind of look macro with the economics of Rhode Island the last 3 years. So any agent's going to tell you that we've kind of had skewed a seller's market, which means that there's more buyer demand than there is actual inventory available. And that's in most price points, from 300,000, 4.5, even all the way up. And it just depends on, what town you're looking at as well. So the amount of inventory though that we had last year at this time, let's say August of 2019, we call it absorption rate. So that's the amount of supply that's in the market. Okay, we had about 5 months of inventory about a year ago. Okay, that's still kind of a seller's market. A balanced market would be about 6 months to 7 months. You have about equal number of buyers and sellers in the market looking at a particular price range, right? But now we're under a month's inventory, which means that you're putting a house on the market for 350,000. You're probably going to have about 20 buyers look at that property in about 2 days. You're probably going to get about 5 to 10 offers if it's priced well and it has good condition and it's move-in ready.
Wow.
Those are kind of the factors that are really skewing towards sellers that have those type of attributes with their home. If there was one that just came out on our neighborhood this morning, that had carpeting everywhere, had the original cabinets from 1940s or 50s. I mean, it's a lot of work. That's going to be a harder property to sell because there's going to be less buyers interested in, because we've just seen that there's less buyers that are willing to do projects unless it's priced really low, but it doesn't even matter. Buyers now, because you can afford more, because interest rates have come down. They're like, I just had a buyer get pre-approved at 2.8%, 30-year fix, good FICO scores, good debt income ratios. So they're able to maybe pay $50,000 more, because that differential for them is about $15 a month or $20, $25 a month. So they have stronger buying power than they did a year ago.
So if someone is thinking, oh, I want to buy a house, what are the things, because you just said debt to income and interest rates, like what are the things that that buyers should be thinking about as they approach the purchase of a home?
That's a great question. And I advise that with everyone that's thinking about, even if you're not thinking about buying right now, if you're thinking, well, maybe next year when things are kind of more settled or more certain, because there's a lot of uncertainty right now, you really need to figure out why are you buying and for how long. So meaning that if you're buying and you think that you're going to be in that home for 5+ years, then great. Then what is it that you actually have to have? What are the neighborhoods that are really kind of that you're considering? Also, I think the other factors that are important is just kind of your must-haves, and then think about kind of the collaborative. I always look at how I work with clients is have a collaborative approach,
Yeah.
meaning that put them in good touch with a good lender, a good attorney, a good home inspector, all the things that are critical to getting to successful closing. But
Yeah.
those are kind of the things I think, just with, if you're selling, for example, you have to understand now the days of going in and taking a picture with your iPhone or your Android are over. Those don't exist anymore.
Do you think
have,
that that's like an HGTV influence?
yeah, I mean, I for myself, I mean, when I prepare my sellers, I have professional photography. I've got excellent team on that. I do Matterport now, 3D, which I wasn't doing last year. But you have to understand that most buyers are not only seeing it on the internet, but they want to see on your home. They want to go through your home right away. We've also seen kind of a change in open houses. So before, that would be the first opportunity that a buyer could probably see the property. Now you're doing those virtually. So those that have kind of pivoted, I would say, to being strong presence on social media or putting themselves out there on video, they're now kind of rising to the top a little bit more than other people would be a little bit. So, and that's, I'm sorry, that's,
do you think that that was exacerbated by COVID?
yes, COVID's definitely made that transit. That's a big switch now that we've seen in the marketplace in terms of marketing goes. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. I produced a live open house virtual tour in
Yeah.
April. We had like a camera crew, and the real estate agent was mic'd, and we like had questions come in online and stuff, and it was a lot of fun, but like people couldn't go to the house. Like normally this was a house in by the beach in Westerly, and like normally people would have flocked to come see the house. But it was really awesome and interesting to see it done completely virtually. And you know, so are you, so generally speaking, I would assume you're creating those videos and then you're putting them up on demand on like the website for the real estate for the house, or how are you doing the when you're talking about sellers getting the professional photography and the professional videography done, what are some of the, like, you have a team, what would you suggest for somebody, like a whole package? How do you sell a house right now, especially when there's so many desirable houses out that aren't projects? Like, how do you present yourself the best that you can?
It's a great question. So we're kind of fortunate with our brokerage right now because we just launched last year, just going into COVID, which has been kind of a game changer for us as agents. It's called Listing Concierge, and it's kind of a VIP service that we provide to any client. So it doesn't matter what your price point is for your home, they're going to get a professional brochure. They're going to get an ad in Rhode Island Monthly or Providence Journal of their choosing. They're going to get a TV spot on YouTube that we have a channel in the Boston market that goes on. They're going to get a service. I mean, every agent can choose or kind of tailor made what they want with that, but they can get their professional photography. They can get a floor plan. They can get, they can choose to do Matterport or not. So those are things that, are critical, I think, because I look at it like anything. If you don't know how a buyer or what buyer is going to resonate. I mean, I had this happen in New York where there was someone that their daughter who's 15 saw the listing on YouTube and said, "Hey mom, we should check this out." And that's how they got attracted to it, and that's how they bought it. So it's kind of like the spaghetti on the wall, right? You don't know necessarily what's gonna turn that head, but you have to give all of those tools to your clients to be able to choose what they can get, because it's critical right now. And I think the other thing I just add to that is that the millennial buyers are the ones, or millennials, I should say, just in general, sellers and buyers are dominating this market right now. They don't need to go to a house. I mean, they're going to go to an open house, and they do still, but they're doing everything virtually. And so
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because I think that I don't know why I think this, but my thoughts around millennials as buyers is millennials don't want to own a house. That
Nope,
seems
they
like
do.
it's a myth, right?
They
It's a
definitely
myth.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
they
definitely
do.
do.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, Ben, you can speak to that.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, well, it's
yeah,
just a it everything's individually based, right? So like you see these broad things
Yeah.
in the news about millennials and about like, not being able to afford homes because we want to eat avocado toast and stuff. But like but in general, I mean, everybody's at different levels and everybody but we're all in general educated on the fact that homes mean equity and that like you can't buying a home is a giant step and millennials are aware of that in
yeah,
general and it's more like here's a rush as soon as we're able we want to be able to buy that home and we want to do it smartly and we want to use the tools to our advantage in regards to social media and virtual tours and doing research and finding all of that stuff out. Something that Stephen just mentioned that I thought was fascinating is the YouTube story. I think that and this gets into marketing, right? Because I think that people severely underestimate how how much influence like your teenage kids or your kids have on what you do and what you buy. And I'm not surprised at all that they had a pre-roll video on YouTube that inspired somebody because of their teenage daughter to buy a
yeah,
house, to buy a certain house. Like that's that makes sense for literally every product. Like if your kid thinks it's cool, they're going to be annoying about it. You're going to look into it. You're like, "Oh, this is cool." Like there's a good chance that you're going to be more. So I think that that's great and I think that like obviously it depends on different people watch different things, right? So
Mhm.
like millennials are on YouTube constantly. They're going to be watching that. They're dominating the market, so that's great. But then also if you have that Gen X parent who has a teenager and you're getting the YouTube pre-roll videos or like even Steve, I don't know if you've ever thought about this, and I don't know if it's actually being shut down or not, but things like TikTok, like I'm starting to see real estate ads on,
yeah,
which is great because TikTok has actually become more localized
yep,
with their algorithms. So
Very localized.
so if you post from Rhode Island and you're posting Rhode Island real estate ads, it's gonna come up on the For You page. You're gonna be able to, and they're offering different ads with like TikTok business and stuff. Like these are all different things, and you're like, I'm selling a house or I'm selling cars. Why am I doing it on TikTok? There's a bunch of teenagers because teenagers influence their parents.
Yeah.
absolutely.
You
Yeah,
I'll,
know,
I'll tell you a funny story. It was a couple of years ago. I wanted to buy a car, and my daughter and I were leaving a tennis court, and I looked at this car, and I'm like, "Wow, I love this particular car," and it was an Audi, and this was probably 5 years ago. And so we went online. We built the Audi that we wanted. It was an A3. We went to Inskip. We saw the exact car that we built, and the guy comes out and he says, "Oh, can I help you?" And my daughter says, "Yeah, we want this car. We just built it online." And I was like, wait. I ended up buying the car.
well, and it's so funny because when I totaled my Prius last December and I'm out shopping for a car and then you hit the ads, those ads are following you everywhere,
Yeah,
and it's the same thing with all of our businesses, right? Like you put an ad and then someone's they're going to be it follows you everywhere just because of
crazy.
Google ads and whatnot. Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah.
yeah.
I'm laughing. I don't know if you guys can hear or see my cat running. I have a long hallway behind me, and
I can hear Tia
is meowing and running up and down the hallway. She sounds like a horse, but you can't hear it.
faintly.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. The rumble in the hallway.
It sounds fine. So if there's speaking of millennials and first time home buyers, Steve, is there advice that you would give to to first time home buyers or first time home sellers that are that have no idea what they're doing and what they're looking at, and real estate is the literal like most stressful thing that they could ever think about.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny because I think it's just human nature that we kind of avoid what we don't know, right? So I think I look at my business and I've been very blessed to have being it grown organically. And so I think it's always important that you get, like most of my business has been referred or past clients or whatnot, word of mouth. So I think it's really important that you talk to people that you trust. To find out and do your research, and I think it's important that if you're looking at different agents or whatnot, you should interview a few. I always have that, especially if you're selling your house, you should definitely get 3 perspectives from different people. And it's important that you look at someone that has, I think empathy is probably really critical now. People need to understand that, some people have lost a loved one in their family and that's why they have to move, or they're having a baby, or they've lost, or there's been a lot of loss that's been going on lately. So it's been really changing the dynamic of why people are like, if I have to die tomorrow, I want to make sure that I did something now, right?
Mhm.
So I think that that's important when you're looking at someone that's got your best interests in mind and they're not caring about the sale. And I always tell my clients, I'm like, I'm going to talk you out, especially if you're buying, I'm going to talk you out of more things than I'm going to talk you into, because I'm more focused on the relationship on that. So I think that's probably one factor. I think another factor is experience. I think just knowing the different type of neighborhoods, the different type of um, lender options that are out there. I mean, I've got definitely some good trusted lenders that I work with. They can kind of help you. I think that's the other factor that you need to kind of do if you're starting out in the home buying process is figuring out what your buying power is. And, if you've got student debt or if you've got a ding on your credit from a missed payment, there's lenders out there that can help you, establish your credit and get it back going, or that can give you different options based on what you're putting down, what your down payment options are and what your debt income is and stuff like that. So that's also really important. And I think then the other factor is just kind of is executing, as far as like getting out there and kind of looking at things. The timeline's really up to the clients. I'm going to give them a ton of advice, and I think most good agents will do that. But it's up to kind of the client to kind of guide, and it's their money and it's their life. So everyone's got a different process. Sometimes it happens really quickly. Sometimes it takes several months to a year. So everyone's very different. So you have to treat that kind of independently a little bit. So
That's great. That's great. Give us a snapshot of a day in the life. Like, what's your day like today?
So today I've got a lot of reports. I've got a relocation client that I'm dealing with today, which I've got to there's some damage to this house, for example, and we're kind of finalizing 5 different vendors that are coming in to do the work. We're going to be repositioning the price as well later this month. I've got a home inspection with the new buyer at later in the day. I've got 2 different showing appointments later, and then I've just got follow-up. I've got a lot of calls to do with follow-up I've got to do with people. So yeah, I mean it's every day this is full time, so every day is pretty structured. I've got different appointments and different clients that I've got to see. So, and there's a lot of people right now that are they may not be doing anything right now, but they're definitely talking about it. They're like, we don't know what we're doing right now, but we need to buy in order to sell. And I've got about 6 people right now that I'm dealing with right now that are in that pocket. They're in that kind of situation where they have to sell their house in order to buy.
Mm-hmm.
That's stressful. That can be very stressful. So I think you kind of introed it, Lori, that's my business. I mean, you need to focus on what you're doing in your life with your family, with your kids and all that. I'll take care of the business sense of it. I'll handle finding a house. I've got a lot of deep connections. Your house may not be on the market that you want to move to now. We'll find it. And that happened actually a month ago with a client. They were thinking about this for 2 years. They're really nervous because they're like, we don't know if we want to put our house on the market because we're not seeing what we want to buy right now. And I said, you know what? I know this may sound hokey, but the universe will kind of take over with that a little bit.
Not hokey.
And it did. It really did. It's like I was in that position myself. So We put it on the market. We've had 30 different buyers come through in 3 days. They got 4 great offers. 3 of them were escalation clauses, which we negotiated. And then lo and behold, I mean, their house did come on the market and they ended up buying. And I had to kind of, elbow another buyer out of there to help them secure it. So, and that's the one last thing I just wanted to say is I think that's kind of the other key thing in this market right now is that if you're a seller and you're looking at 4 offers and you're seeing those 4 offers and your agent's presenting those offers to you and they're saying, well, what's this buyer like? What's this buyer like? What's this buyer like? If they're all things being equal, I'm going to tell you the 2 things that are going to differentiate them. If they know the lender and if they know the agent. Because if you don't recognize those lenders or those agents and you don't have a relationship with them, you're probably going to choose the one that is going to be pretty even keeled. It's going to get you, it's going to bring a good buyer to the table and get the transaction to closing. That's critical right now. And I'm looking at that when I advise my clients. I'm like, well, I can tell you I've worked with that agent before. They're a good agent and they've got a really good lender they're working with. You've probably got a good, sure thing to get to closing versus the other 2. I'm not sure.
Which is exactly what someone wants. Yeah.
And that's the advice you have to bring to the table. Yeah.
Because then going back to how we started, that allows the client to do whatever the client needs to do in their life to prepare for the move. Yeah.
And the other thing I will just add is that with the whole frenzy of the multiple offer situation, this happened to a client of mine. They had 15 offers and we had a highest and best deadline at 6 o'clock on Friday. We didn't go into purchase and sales until I think Tuesday morning. We spent 3 days negotiating kind of back and forth with 5 out of the cream of the crop, the 5, just to really delve into, are these guys really strong or not? Because it was really difficult. And I always tell people, it's okay to take a breath. It's okay to take a time out here and not just quick. I mean, you're making a huge life decision, and it's a lot of money that's at stake here. And I'd rather do that up front for 2 days than 2 weeks from now. Oh, sorry, the deal fell apart because we didn't do our job up front. So.
Yeah, definitely one of the bigger. I mean, from a coaching perspective, buying a home is like one of the. It's kind of a catalytic experience to redefining yourself in a different way. And it's pretty stressful. So when you have that support system there, it's huge.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you for that. And I especially thank you for joining us this morning. You put out some amazingly great information for buyers and sellers. And you, really, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you guys. It was great.
I learned a lot. So check out StephenMillerGroup.com. And the thing that I was most excited about was that every listing, no matter the size, gets the real estate concierge service.
Yes.
Or the listing concierge.
Listing concierge. Yeah.
Listing concierge. Thank you very much. I didn't want to miss the buzzword. Thank you so much. That sounds amazing. So this was a wonderful chat. Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Thank you.
So much.
Have a great day, guys.
You too, Lori. It's wonderful. Guys, check out visualthrive.com for Lori and check out Shop Local Rhode Island as well. And Lori, I can't wait. Will I see you at noon on the Small Business Town Hall today?
Ben, I am getting a haircut today for the first time since March.
I have not done that myself.
I cannot wait. It's either that or just chop. So I will not join. It was either today or the 26th, and I can't wait any longer.
All right. Well, enjoy your haircut, and we'll see you guys later. Thank you very much. Have a great day. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.